All right, round two. I just did my whole video and the audio was not on. So, live and learn, live and learn. But here we go, take two. So, this lesson is a culturally responsive lesson where students read a book that is culturally responsive and respond to it in a creative way. Let's go ahead and go down here. So students will respond to the text just asked with an open mind portrait, which is an activity that we actually did in one of the recent modules that I found. It was a very cool activity, and I think it could really work for a lot of different types of learners. So let's go ahead and start at the top so we know we don't miss anything, and I'll make sure to not go over. This time I have a clock by me. So, whoops. I have a note to myself for the future with a few other books that would work for a lesson like this so that I can use the open mind portrait lesson maybe to cover a few different things or adapt it. So just up here, there's a few suggestions. Then we have the context and grade level. So this is the same hypothetical class I've been developing throughout my lesson plans. I just wanted to go ahead and highlight some things that I added. So everything that I would have added is highlighted in yellow. So I have my EL student, and she's based off a student I've had in the past. And what I added this time around is that sentence stems work extremely well for her. So it's something I had in her adaptations portion, but I realized that's a big part of her contextual information. And so I put it up there. Then the student with autism, again, is another student I've had in the past. I think they were actually in the same class. And he always would take breaks if needed. But I saw in the UDL strategies and adaptations guide, or like the master list, that there's a break card. And I love that because I think break card is the easy way for someone to be able to tell you very quietly and not make a big thing out of it, very, very like discreetly, that they need a break. So just an easy gesture from them, or easy break card from them, a gesture from the teacher. So I added that to his. I've had many students in the past with ADHD, and I also have ADHD. So this is modeled kind of after a combination of my experiences with students and my own learning. And so I put break card on there too, because I know for me, it will be sometimes I just want to move my body just so I can kind of get my brain back in a good place and get those good chemicals going. So I thought my ADHD student might need a break card too. The standards that we are covering with this lesson are Common Core Standards, English and Language Arts, Grade 3, comprehension and collaboration, determine the main ideas and supporting details of a text read aloud or information presented in diverse media and formats, including visually, quantitatively, and orally. So I like that it said diverse media and formats because that's what we're doing with this open mind portrait. So the objective, students will respond to the text just ask with an open mind portrait. So they're going to use that activity. And the open mind portrait is basically they choose a character and they that they either relate to or that reminds them of someone they knew. I was trying to instill this sense of compassion by either applying it to yourself or someone that you know and love, because already when we're thinking of characters in those terms of those relationships, I think it can help a lot into going into the book and having that sense of compassion, open-mindedness, relatability. And so they'll draw that character that they chose, that they relate with, or reminds them of someone they know. And which is nice because then they can have a creative portion as far as drawing using some different media. So they'll draw the face, and then behind it, they'll staple on some thinking pages that have their thoughts about the story and answering the prompts. So I think it's a really good way to kind of cover both and let them, there's a little bit of writing and there's also a little bit of art. And so I think it can work well for a great variety of students. How are we doing on time? Oh, okay. We're already kind of running a little bit behind, so I'm going to speed it up. So my language function is respond to the text, but I also want to start adding academic vocabulary. So the words that I chose for this one were diversity, differences, individual, embrace, support, respect. Here are my TPEs. They're the observation focus will be content. So promote students' critical and creative thinking and analysis through activities that provide opportunity for inquiry, problem solving, responding, and framing meaningful questions and reflection. I think that fits this lesson perfectly. 2.2 is create an environment that promotes student productivity and positive interactions, reflects diversity, and is culturally responsive. Again, culturally responsive lesson. I think this is right on point with that one. And then exhibit a positive disposition, does so with caring, support, acceptance, and fairness to all students, families, and colleagues, which again is the goal of this lesson, is to really encourage that positive disposition. This is my video. And then since I think we're running a little bit close, last time I did like 11 minutes. This time I was planning to shoot for about 7. So I know you've already read this lesson. So what I'll do from here down is just highlight the things that I changed since turning in the observation 3A. This is what I've changed for 3B. So I want to include mindfulness and meditation in whatever lessons I can. My goal is to do it every day and like maybe in the morning, but then also in transitions to lesson. We're on low battery. I think we'll make it. So I open the lesson with 2 rounds of box breathing and the intention to do our best. And box breathing is the in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. Hold for 4, breathe in for 4, hold for 4, then breathe out for 4, hold for 4. So it's like a little box. I just did 2 rounds there. Hopefully I didn't lose you. So some things that I changed from the first one is that I want the questions for engagement to include these terms that I added. I added an adaptation for my EL student. I am already going to give them a link to the Spanish Read Aloud YouTube so they can listen before and kind of figure out the context and meaning so that when they're listening, they can more work on relating words, terms. So I'm going to do selected lesson vocab words, translate along with pictures and graphics to visually scaffold their meaning. So even if it's just a Bitmoji or a little graphic, I think they can be really transformative in understanding and remembering. And she was pretty visual, so as a visual learner. Visual scaffolding. So I will do, for technology, I decided to add a slideshow presentation with questions for engagement so that they can see them as well as hear them. I know when I can see something, it makes all the difference in the world because I can reference it and know it in a few different ways. All right, and I'm going to wrap it up. So I added think, pair, share as an informal assessment or thumbs up, thumbs down. It's fun for them, and it kind of it gives us a way to see what's going on in their brains as it's happening. I didn't change anything in my practice, but I did in my evaluations. I think I'm going to give everyone the option to do a slideshow instead if that works better for their learning. I love my slideshows. You see, I do them for every reflection, so I thought that would be nice. And then last thing is that students will present their open mind portrait, explain why they chose their specific character, and share something they learned about themselves or someone they know. Because I think it's important to give them an assessment that's good for self-reflection and self-assessment so that they can kind of look inward and say, what did I learn? And then they can communicate that to the rest of us and we can get a conversation going about these differences that we're going to, need to embrace and accept forever. So it's just good practice to start. And I really enjoyed making this culturally responsive lesson. Thanks so much. I think I might be a little bit over, but I hope you enjoyed.